Hello and welcome back to another one-on-one webcast. I'm Hannah Berg. The 21st Winter Olympic Games have come to a close, and here to help me recap are Steve Roth and Michael Gayton. Guys, what do you think of the second week of games?
All right. Well, for me, they were strong. I mean, the second week was definitely it was great. It was great watching it, very entertaining. However, I don't think they had the same impact, and they weren't as good as the first week of games. You just looked at all the drama that happened the first week. I mean, all the sports, everyone was just kind of getting back into the Olympic spirit. And, you know, the second week, the sports a lot of them are already finished. The events are kind of winding down, getting ready to finish up. And while you still have the events, the culminating events, figure skating, hockey, curling, the things they try to draw in people at the beginning of the week. I mean, the beginning of the games are kind of the most interesting. So, for example, like skiing, not as many Americans. All the Americans generally won their medals the first week. I remember last week I talked about extreme sports and how awesome the extreme sports were going to be, and they really didn't add up to the hype. They kind of tapered off. And then speed skating, where was Apollo Ono that last week? Like, it was just kind of.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot different when you first get to the Olympic point. Like when you haven't seen the Olympics for 2 years since the Summer Olympics. The first week is always the most exciting because you haven't seen it in a while. By the second week, not only has that gotten off, that's no longer the case. You've already seen it. It's like the events that I'm kind of like semi-interested in, like luge and bobsled, they become like, okay, that's just another event. Right. And it gets to the point where even, the superstars, it's like, okay, we've heard their name, long enough. So as far as the specific events, there was still a lot of medaling, in the U.S., so it was a lot of fun. But I would definitely have to say the highlight of the second week for me would be Canada admitting that they could not possibly win the medal count. I thought that was awesome. That made me smile, and it was great. So and for the second week, that would be my highlight.
I thought it ended on a really strong note. Canada came there to win hockey, and they took away. So
yeah, exactly.
That was a really
awesome
exciting game, really exciting moment. So guys, give me your defining moments of the Olympics.
I would say, first of all, this one was a good sort of a lesson for kids. It was when Apollo Anton Ono managed to actually get silver in the 1500 meter earlier in the Olympics, but the second and third place, the second and third place, there were two Koreans, and they both fell over. They both hit each other and they fell over, and it just showed, because that was the last corner of the race, and it just showed that you don't give up,
Absolutely.
And he later did that in another race. A few days later, there was a bump up, and he managed to get a medal because he jumped over some people. So I thought that was definitely a big moment for the U.S. and Apollo Anton Ono, just him.
For me, there was many moments that I thought could be, the defining moment. The first Canadian medal, Alexander Bilodeau, winning that first Canadian gold, first ever gold on home soil for Canada. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore, they're ice dancers, and they won for Canada, and they were up on the podium just belting out the national anthem. That was really patriotic. Or, our own Lindsey Vonn, Bodie Miller, they both came away with many medals. Bodie Miller won one of each, I think, and Shaun White, that epic performance, those were great moments. But for me, has to be this young lady named Joannie Rochette. She's from the Quebec region of Canada. She's an ice skater, and during the short program, which is the first competition for ladies figure skating, it was 2 days after her mom died. And she went out there and she skated her heart out. And at the end of her performance, you could just see the emotion just come out of her. And everyone watching it, they really felt her.
And she went on to get a bronze medal.
Yeah, she ended up doing really well in the free skate, and she ended up winning the bronze, which is not only great for Canada, to get a figure skating medal.
That's a great story.
Yeah, for this young lady to show her courage, her determination. I don't think I could go out there 2 days after my mom, suddenly died, and just go out there. And I mean, everyone really was with her, feeling her pain. She was really, I think, a strong, she definitely, helped pick up the games.
Yeah.
And she was definitely a role model for
Absolutely.
everyone.
And like you guys said, this was a Cinderella story all across the board in all the different sports. For me, it was Steve Holcomb. He ended the 62-year gold medal drought in the four-man bobsled, and I thought that was just amazing. It's a really great win for them. And anyway, so tell me, what did you think about the closing ceremonies?
I actually really liked them. They had this clown mime, whatever you want to call him. He came up from the fourth cauldron when they were trying to light the thing again. which had had a mechanical issue in the opening ceremonies, and he came out with a tool belt on, and he fixed it. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. It was hilarious to me, and I really didn't think I would be laughing at the closing ceremonies, but I thought that was great how they were able to just basically make fun of themselves, and so that was and then they had all the stars come out. They had some actors and some music stars, so that was big for me.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things is Canadians are known to have kind of poke fun at themselves and everything, and I really think that whole closing ceremony was able to really show Canadian pride, especially right after they won that gold medal hockey game.
But did they go overboard a little bit? Do you think they went overboard with?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, I think it was also, yeah, it's tacky with the big beavers,
tacky,
and all the moose, and the Minutemen and all. I mean, all that's things. But that's Canadian culture, and they're proud of all that. And, you had all the stars, all the Canadians like Michael J. Fox and William Shatner.
Who mentioned Canada's? I didn't like that. They mentioned Canada's hockey team. Don't do that.
Yeah,
all right, I'm not going to watch it next time. If you're going to talk about Canadians,
right. I mean,
Canada's hockey team. I do not want to hear about
it's
that.
Where the opening ceremony is more like a bunch of, it's order, and it's all like, oh, we're opening the games. This is more like, hey, look at what we've done. Let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate Canada. Let's celebrate these athletes. And they really did that. It was one big party. It was really entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thought it was tacky. I thought it was a little bit over the top. It was entertaining,
How can you say that?
but it was more of like a variety show. I felt like. I mean, Michael J. Fox, sweet man, he was great. But then Michael Bublé, it looked like he had like little elves dancing around him, like a little.
They were maple leaves.
I think if you're from Canada, I think if you're from Canada, you enjoyed it more than.
I went over my head a little bit. So I don't know. All right, now finally, what legacy will the Vancouver Olympics leave? Not only in Vancouver, but in the rest of the world.
I'm going to say in Canada, it will always be remembered, this Olympics, because of, I don't want to mention it again, but they won something that was a big deal for them in the last day there. I don't want to talk about it. But for the rest of the world, honestly, I don't think it makes any difference in the world. This is just another Olympics. It was Canada's home. They won their sport. Everybody else, okay, I'm not going to care about this Olympics in 4 years, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, there's, guys like Ono that I'm going to be rooting for, that I had rooted for this time, and Shaun White and guys that, but you know what, it's not going to matter in a couple of years.
Steve, I'm going to have to disagree with you. This is one of the best Olympics I have ever seen. And one of the reasons is that, whereas before some people would watch the Olympics and some wouldn't, this time I felt like everyone was always talking about the Olympics, whether it was hockey, whether it was skiing,
it was
whether
everywhere.
it was, oh, did you see this, did you see that? I mean, people, example, like one night I just sit and watch with like 15 other people. We'd sit, watch the Olympics, be entertained by, the fact that the whole Olympic spirit. And I think, maybe it's they're in the same time zone as us. I mean, anything, but I think whereas London has a lot to look, after Beijing, they have a lot to live up to. I think Sochi in 2014 is going to have a lot to live up to Canada.
Do you think, other than the U.S. though and Canada, that these Olympics were enjoyed by the other countries?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think they were very entertaining. I think they did a very good job.
I agree. All right, guys, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. However, while the Olympics have come to a close until 2012, the many other one-on-one webcasts online throughout the semester, you can also catch us on the radio at WSOE 89.3 FM, Wednesday from 10 to 11. I'm Hannah Berg, and for Mike and Steve, whose side are you on?